Hello and welcome back to the Pretty Awkward Entrepreneur Podcast and YouTube channel. We are double dipping as usual today. If you are watching this on YouTube and you want to just listen to the audio, check the link in the description for the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast and you want to see my face tell you this for any reason, then you can click the link in the show notes for the YouTube video. So excited for this episode. This is going to be short and sweet because I want to explain to you what you're really going to get out of this free live course that I'm hosting next week. So next week, we are hosting a free live course and it's called Outline Your Pretty Awkward Offer. And you are basically going to leave with such a clear plan on what your next offer is or your first offer is, right? And I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to walk you through each day what it's going to entail. And if you are listening on the podcast, you're in for a real treat. So YouTube people, listen up because we're going to actually drop the live course every single day of in the podcast. So day one will be uploaded probably early on day 2, which will be Tuesday, November 2nd. And then day 2 will be uploaded on day 3, et cetera, et cetera. So we're basically taking those live trainings, but we're also putting them on the podcast for you. So you can watch it in the Facebook group, or you can also listen on the podcast. Now, if you really want to participate, if you really, really want to learn, and you really want to get feedback from me on your homework, on what you're doing, on your offer, right? Then you need to be in the Facebook group. You need to be registered. So before you do anything, pause this video, pause this recording, go to the link in the show notes at the top that is Outline Your Pretty Awkward Offer, free live course, register. So you make sure you're in the Facebook group and you will see those live trainings. It's going to be really important because you could ask questions and there's going to be homeworks that you want to get feedback on. So you can really leave with the most epic offer. So this episode, I'm going to walk you through everything that we're going to do and why we're doing it this way. And why these are essential steps for having a really rock solid offer that you feel super confident with. So the truth is, I just want to say this, and this is in the sales page. A lot of this is going to be in the opt-in page, but I know a lot of people don't read the whole thing. But the truth is we cannot sell our services with confidence unless we, as coaches and service providers and strategists, are incredibly clear on what it is and how it can change the lives of our clients, right? If we are confused, our audience is confused, and confused audiences do not buy. So that's what we're going to do in this Outline Your Perfect Pretty Awkward Offer. By the end of these 5 days, you're going to know what you offer, who you're speaking to, what's included, how to price it, and how to do it all in a way that's unique to you so you can stand out from everyone else who has a similar type offer. It's, again, a 5-day live course for coaches, service providers, and strategists who want to create a signature offer that flies off the shelves. I'm going to cover everything from how to name it, to who's going to buy, to how to price it, to what fall sweater to wear while you promote it. Okay, we're just kidding. That's on the sales page, and I think it's really cute. So there you go. Usually this is going to be sold for $9.97, but for one time, only in 2021, you can register again for free. So make sure you go to the link again to register. With this offer, you are receiving 5 live training modules on how to create, define, and stand out with your signature offer. 1 Pretty Awkward workbook to capture all your brilliant ideas, so that'll be emailed to you as well. A full week of community support to keep you accountable, and daily prizes to win, a chance to win these daily prizes. And again, we start in a week from when this episode drops. We start on November 1st. So let me walk you through what we're going to cover in these 5 days. So first, live module 1 on day 1 is going to be all about your client. Business without clients are hobbies. I'm going to say that again. I should say it the correct way. Businesses without clients are hobbies, right? Same as businesses without sales are hobbies. That's nice, but you are in business to build a real business, not to make it a hobby and not to not make money. So those are the facts, right? And if you want a business that pays your bills, you need to learn to think like your client. So in the first day of this live course, I'm going to teach you what is your audience truly getting out of your offer, right? It might not be what you expect. Who will your client be by the end of working with you? They're going to transform. They're going to change. So who are they going to be? You need to paint that visual for them. This is such an important part that people skip. They only focus on the external factors like lose weight, right? If someone is a weight loss coach, who will they be at that point? Who will they be when they achieve that, right? I'm going to teach you how to reverse engineer it so your offer delivers results every single time. And then this is the most important part, and the one I'm most excited about day one. Day one is, and live module 1 is very meaty. They're all very meaty, but this is very meaty. What journey is your client on right now? And how can you meet them where they're at, grab them by the hand, and make them feel really like secure, make them feel seen and heard and cared for with you? I have a whole podcast episode on creating a really clear customer journey. I'll make sure we link it in the show notes, and we'll link it in the description for this YouTube video. We don't have a YouTube video of it. It's just the audio, but it's a really good one. It walks you through what is a customer journey, why is it so important, and that term's thrown around a lot in the business world, and I think people underestimate the importance of it, right? If you are talking to your audience at the wrong point in the journey, no matter how great, your marketing is, if it's not where they're at, they're going to ignore it. No matter how great your offer is, if it's not where they're at, they're going to ignore it. So while we're not going to dive super deep into the marketing of the offer, because that would be like a whole other, month that we need to go through. We don't have time in 5 days. We are going to touch on it with this. Because again, if you are marketing your offer to someone at the wrong point in the journey, then it's not going to sell. And that is something I've seen so many people do. I have done this. I even did this earlier this year a little bit. And I was like, oh my gosh, how did I not see this? It was glaringly obvious after. You live, you learn, and you help other people live and learn so they don't have to make the same mistakes you did, right? So this is really going to be a meaty day. You're going to make sure who you're talking to, and you're going to make sure your offer is going to really, really meet them where they're at. So that's day one. Day one, again, like I said, is really, really meaty. Just looking at my notes, I want to make sure I got everything else out. Again, leaving the program, what will their life be like? And then that middle work, right? We're going to reverse engineer this transformation. So what are they coming in as? What are they leaving as? And what's that middle work? That's the work you're going to do with them. So leaving day one, like you understand the formatting of your offer. That's going to be huge. Day one's going to be huge. Day 2, live module 2, about you as a coach, right? So we're going to start with your client, and then we're going to go into you. Of course, you want a business that feels like you, right? If you don't have a business that feels like you and it feels like a carbon copy of someone else, it's just not going to be fun. It's not why you got into business. You did not get into business to be someone else. You did not get into business to copy someone else. You need to make sure your business is a reflection of who you are at your core in order to love it and in order for it to be sustainable. Otherwise, you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to show up. So how can you do that without getting to know yourself a little bit? So in this live module, I'm sharing my favorite tool for coaching, getting to know yourself, which is the Enneagram test, right? You might already know your Enneagram, so you're going to be a step ahead, but we're going to dive deeper into that. This isn't going to just be what's your Enneagram, right? Anyone can take the test online. So obviously we're going to do that. Make sure you know that. But how can you make your Enneagram your secret decision-making weapon, right? Are you in the healthiest coach space you can be in, right? Find out in this training. Most people never ask themselves this question. And if you do, you will be ahead of the pack. How can you use your Enneagram in your perfect Pretty Awkward offer to attract the right clients to you while staying in your zone of genius? And this is going to be really huge because when you're making decisions based on your Enneagram, you're going to be able to execute so much more. I see it all the time where people are basing their decisions. They're maybe, let's say, an Enneagram 9, and they're basing their decisions on what Enneagram 3s do. And if you're not familiar with Enneagram, you'll understand more, I promise. This day will be for you if you don't know your Enneagram or if you do, because we're going to say, great, now you know it. How do we use that in your offer? How do we use that in your business in general? But more specifically, how do we craft your offer so it reflects that, so that you're living in your zone of genius? But Enneagram 3s, I'm actually a 3. Enneagram 3s are very common in the entrepreneurial world. They're go-getters. They get shit done, they're hustlers, they're hard workers, they're visionaries, all of that. A lot of great traits, a lot of, not great traits too, but a lot of great traits. And a lot of times, entrepreneurs who aren't 3s can feel a little like forced to try to be a 3, and it really makes them burn out. It makes them get drained. It makes them not want to show up. It makes them feel like so exhausted because that's not how they operate, right? So if you are a 9, or any other one, and you're trying to operate like a 3, and you're building your offer based on that, and you have all these calls and all this stuff involved that you're like, I cannot show up for this, but I feel like I have to, it's not gonna work, right? It's not gonna work. So that's why this is so, so important, right? So for example, when Enneagram 2 is healthy, they become deeply unselfish, humble, and altruistic, giving unconditional love to self and others. They feel it is a privilege to be in the lives of others. How is this great? The client is almost guaranteed results because of your dedication. How is this concerning? If you have a self-starter client who gets busy during your contract, they could feel ganged up on or overly mothered and therefore disrespected. So we're going to not only go over, when your Enneagram is specifically healthy and how is this great for the client, but also how is it concerning for the client? And then how can you use this in your offer? Knowing that you can go above and beyond for your client, consider doing less calls, as many may go long due to your commitment to their success, thus creating, that scope creep and digging into your time and your profits. It's so, so important. So not only, again, what is your Enneagram, but how can your client benefit from it? Also, how can it be concerning? So you know those red flags going in, which is really important. But how do you use that in your offer? Again, if you're a 2, you want to go above and beyond for your client. So you might automatically want to do more calls, but it can actually be at a detriment to them. So maybe you need to back off and not do as many calls as you think. Again, we're going to go through each one and what are the pros, what are the cons, how you can use this in your offer so that you're not creating something that goes so against your natural self, right? You don't want to fight against who you are. Every single Enneagram can have success in business. You just got to go with it. You can't fight against it, right? And I see people just try to knuckle through. This Outline Your Pretty Awkward Offer free live course is not about creating a template that everyone can rinse and repeat. This is about you creating your own template. And I'm giving you the steps to do that, right? That's what's so important. Okay. I talked enough about that. Day 3, live module 3 is all about standing out. My favorite thing to talk about. What good is your offer if you sit on it for a year and don't show it to anyone, right? It could be the most transformational course, program, or service on the planet, but if no one knows about it, it leaves zero impact. So we're going to change that with live module 3. What is your Pretty Awkward? If you are new to this world, my brand is called the Pretty Awkward brand. And basically what that means is I help you leverage what makes you unique, what makes you different to stand out from everyone else doing the same thing as you. It all started when I was in the health and fitness coaching realm, and I started making fun of the fitness industry and how a lot of fitness coaches did the booty pose. And I started making fun of that, and it took off. Instead of trying to force myself to continue doing that, something that felt so unnatural and uncomfortable and honestly could barely move my body to do it, it just wouldn't work. I said, this is ridiculous. Why am I doing this? Why? This doesn't mean I have to take these booty poses to have success. Who said this? I'm going to stop doing this. So I posted a video of me doing it, of me attempting to take the booty pose, and it was a video, and it was hysterical, and it was ridiculous, and the Pretty Awkward brand was more. And I basically talk about how there's just so many awkward things in business that we need to call out, and we need to embrace, and we need to not try to be this picture-perfect, curated version of ourselves, but be ourselves. Because the second I started doing that, my business blew up. People loved it. I stood out. I wasn't like every other fitness coach trying to do the booty pose, right? And that transferred over to my business coaching business. And so now that's one of my secret sauces. I help people find their version of Pretty Awkward, which turned into my whole brand. So it's not only something that can help you stand out, it can build your entire brand, what you are known for, what people associate you with. You become top of mind when you do that. So what is your Pretty Awkward? What's the thing that's going to make people vibe with you like a long lost friend, right? And I'm going to give you a lot of prompts for figuring this out. Then we're going to go over, you're going to discover the practical and tactical ideas to infuse your Pretty Awkward into your message. So you don't just know what your Pretty Awkward is, what that difference is for you, but how do you actually put that in your messaging so it can transcend the screen and bring it into sales. And then if you want your audience to think of you outside of the Instagram app, this is going to be a really important day to hone in on. Like when they're running at the groceries, they're running to the grocery store, they're watching a rerun of Friends, or they're running on the treadmill, right? I'm going to show you how to do this. And this is huge. This is something that I have been able to do really well. And I cannot tell you how many people message me things that remind them of me outside of business. And it starts a really beautiful connection and conversation. And a lot of them end up being clients because we connected beyond just that thing that I can help them with. So how can we infuse this into your offer, right? That's going to be really huge. We want to make sure your offer is you. That's how it's going to be different. So that's day 3. All right, moving on. Day 4 and 5 are probably the ones that people are going to be the most excited about. I know this because I've already talked to a lot of people about this, but this is definitely the one people are the most excited about. Live module 4 is about the work, right? When you deliver a powerful signature offer, it does the selling for you. So find out how to put the parameters around your offer so it can scale as you grow and get client results, no matter how many clients you have going through it. So we're going to get really nitty gritty in these last 2 days. How long does your package need to be in order to deliver the best transformation for your clients, right? There is an answer, and you will get it in this live training. How many weeks? How many months? Let's talk details. How many calls should you include? When should you host the calls? Should you Voxer or not Voxer? Should you use Slack or Facebook, right? These are all the questions. What's a realistic timeline for creating your protocols, your processes, and your systems for delivery, right? When should people expect to get things from you? So this will be a very logistical one, so you'll definitely want to bring your pen and paper. You will have a workbook to help you through it that is emailed out to you after you opt in. But that's going to be a really information heavy one, but also the one that's going to really seal the deal for your offer. You're going to know exactly what people are getting, when they're getting it, and when you're really clear on that, they're clear on that, right? And then live module 5 is all about the sale. What do you charge, right? This is one of the biggest questions that I get, and I think it's where most people get stuck. And so we're going to talk about pricing, right? What should you charge for your offer? I'm going to teach you the industry frames of reference for different offers, and I just want to say, I say this in the sales page, and I'm going to say it, or the opt-in page, and I say this all the time. There is no rule for how to price. There isn't. There's no rules, right? But there are guidelines, and I'm going to give them to you. And when I say guidelines, I really mean them loosely. I have had clients stick to those guidelines that they see the industry standards as, and then I've had clients who say, F it, that's bullshit. The value of this transformation is so much more. Or they say, hey, guess what? My ideal client cannot afford that because they're in a certain area, they're in a certain socioeconomic situation. They literally cannot afford that. So I can't charge that. I don't feel right charging that. So it goes both ways. It goes for charging more and it goes for charging less. And again, there's no right or wrong. It depends on you, the client, and most importantly, this is something I'll say a lot in day 5, is if you are excited to show up for it, if you are I'm ready to go, I'm ready to serve, then that's when I know it's a good price. It's when you start becoming resentful. It's when you start going, I don't want to go to this call, and it's not the client. I just I don't feel I feel like I'm working too much for what I'm getting paid. I need to get paid more, right? When that starts happening, that's when that's a sign. Okay, maybe you should raise your prices. Maybe you just didn't price it right, and that's okay. Oh my gosh, my prices have changed so much over the years. You're also going to start one way, and then you're most likely going to have it raised as you learn more, as the value goes up, because your value goes up, because you learn. The more you coach, the more you do it, the better you get. So naturally, the value is going to be way more as you have more years under your belt. So again, the industry frames of reference, how to design a payment plan that works for everyone who's right for your offer. And I say this very clearly. A payment plan that doesn't work for everyone, because not everyone is right for your offer. And this is another mistake I made this year, is creating a payment plan. And it was to the point where it was so affordable, which is awesome. And I really want to make sure I have things that are affordable. But it was affordable to people who weren't even right for it in certain situations. And so they didn't show up. And that's just people wasting their money, even if they can afford something, right? So that's really, really important. We don't want to just create something that's affordable. We want to make sure that they're right for it, right? Maybe they can afford it, but are they right for it? And sometimes some of your offers some of the price points are going to knock people out, and that's okay, right? That's okay. I have my one-on-one coaching is very specifically for someone making a certain amount of money. They've got to be making at least over $5,000 a month, mostly over $15,000 a month because of the price tag on it. And that's just how it is, right? I have many other offers that are very, very, very affordable for beginner business owners, especially because of the extended payment plan we have. But my one-on-one, that's what it is. And it has to be that way because that's the client I'm working with at that level. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And again, this is going to be my opinion, my perspective, my lived experience, what I've learned, especially over the last few years. This is a topic that a lot of people have different opinions on, and that's okay. So come in with an open mind for this last day. And then the path for closing the gap between where your client is now and where your client will be at the end of the program, and how to price based on that, right? You should price based on the transformation, not on the number of PDFs or calls that they get with you. That is not what you price on, right? You don't price on, you get 5 calls, so this is what I value that as. Now, you can use that as a starting point. So we are going to go through that. You can use that as a starting point. What do you value your time at? Okay, you get 4 calls. Great. Let's figure out, if you say your hour-long call is $100 worth. They get 4 calls in a month. That's $400 worth. Great. So you charge $400 a month. You can start there. But then we got to take into consideration, what is that transformation worth, right? what is that going to do for them? What can that result in? So we really have to take that into consideration. And something I'll say, even with my experience, I had a call with my coach in July, and that one call was actually our first call, ironically. We mapped out a new offer that I have that you're going to get first access to at the end of this week or the following week. You're going to get a free lesson from the program. And in that one call, we mapped out that program, and it was like game changing. I got my money's worth in that one call. And it was an investment. It was a big investment. That one-on-one coaching is a big investment. And I got all of my money's worth in that one call. Now, of course, it doesn't mean my coach doesn't show up for the rest of the contract, but I don't look at the contract as the number of calls. I look at it as, wow, I just got so much out of that call. Like, that just set up so much for me for the rest of the year. I feel rock solid now. And that can happen. I have had so many calls like that with clients where after one discussion, they're like, oh my gosh, I now know, or they have a breakthrough, or they have a realization about something, and like they got their money's worth on that call. If you ask them what was the most game-changing moment when they feel they got their money's worth, it's that one moment. Sometimes it's not one moment. Sometimes it is gradual. But that's why I encourage you not to just think of pricing based on number of calls or what they're getting, but truly that plus what's that transformation worth? What's the value of what you do? Because every kind of coach, entrepreneur, business owner, strategist, name what you will, right? Choose your own adventure for your title, has a different skill set and a different transformation they provide, a different type of person they work with. And so we cannot just base it on what other people are doing. There are certain types of coaching or strategizing that takes a lot more energy, emotional energy, mental energy, time, a lot more legwork than others. So therefore, they usually want to charge more because of that. So you've got to remember that too. Some kinds of coaching, you cannot take over a certain amount of people because of the energy. My one-on-one, I only take 3 people at a time because it's more like a partnership and it's more like me in it with you, and it's very high touch. So I can't take more than 3 at a time because of how much of a commitment that is on my end. So the price is the price for that reason. The price reflects that, right? So that's why it's really important to not just base it on the number of stuff, the stuff that you're getting. So again, those are the 5 days. I'm so freaking excited. We start on November 1st, and then on the 5th day, I'm going to give you a free gift that you're going to definitely want to plug in on. And the last 2 days really are the nitty gritty. What goes into your offer? What are all the things they get? And then day 5 is how do you actually price it, right? So again, I cannot wait for this. This is such perfect timing too. It's really great time to finish out 2021 really strong, right? Maybe 2021 didn't go as planned for you with your business. Maybe it did. Maybe you're just starting. A lot of people I know who are joining this are just starting. So how can you end the year starting really, really strong in your business? I've been in business for so many years, and especially when I was network marketing, when I was doing it the right way and things were taking off, the end of the year really reflected how my next year went. And so I always ended the year strong. I didn't take my foot off the gas. Now, I didn't work through holidays necessarily. I'm not saying to do that at all. I'm actually taking the last 2 weeks of December off this year, but it doesn't mean taking vacation doesn't mean you don't end the year strong, right? Like you end the year strong, really clear on what you're doing, really clear on what you're selling, really clear on what you're standing for, and really clear on what you're doing in 2022, having a plan, being a real business owner, operating in that way. So it's a really great time to finish this year up strong. 2022 is almost here, right? So do you have a clear, structured offer you can sell over and over again? An offer that entices your audience to be like, oh my gosh, I need this. I know I need this. A unique to you, completely irresistible way of working with you that catapults you to the top of the industry, or simply gives you consistent income months that you are really, really craving in your business. In the Outline Your Perfect Pretty Awkward offer, you get the confidence to say yes to all of those questions. I'm so freaking pumped. We have never done anything just like this. I cannot wait. Next week, again, all of those live trainings will be in the Facebook group. You must register. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go to the link in the description. If you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure you go to the link in the show notes to register. This is going to be an incredible week. You are going to have your offer outlined by the end of this. You're going to feel so rock solid with what you're actually offering to your audience, to your client. and it's going to help you just end the year strong. Again, if you don't know what you're offering and if you don't know what you're selling, they don't know, they're confused. And you might have a kind of a semblance of an offer right now, or you say, oh, I do have an offer though. But can you answer all those questions that I just asked you? Can you go through all those 5 days with full confidence? Even if you have an offer, join this, especially if you're starting or in your first few years. Join this free live course, because I promise you it's going to take it to the next level. And again, that is so important. If you are not clear, they are not clear, and clarity is huge, especially when trying to attract clients online, right? Our words are everything. We've got to make sure we're speaking to them, which is why day one is so important. Are you meeting them where they're at? I cannot wait to serve you next week, all week, in this live free course. Go to the link and register, and I will see you next week in the Facebook group. Bye, everyone.